This is the Lobo postgame show. Once again, Robert Portnoy.
Welcome back inside Dreamstyle Arena, the pit. Lobos 78, Utah State 63. Final. The Lobos with 5 Everguard Solar and Everguard Roofing slam dunks tonight. That's $50 to All Faiths. All Faiths serves over 2,500 children and their families every year. They teach them how to prevent abuse, and they guide them as they recover from it. Help us give children back their childhood. Learn more by visiting allfaiths.org. Let's pause briefly 10 seconds for Station ID on the Lobo Radio Network. Bank of the West continues its commitment as the Lobo three-point basket sponsor. After every game, they donate to Special Olympics of New Mexico. This year, they've been donating quite a lot. For more than 20 years, Bank of the West has contributed over $100,000 to Special Olympics of New Mexico. As part of its proud commitment to Lobo athletics, New Mexico made 11 more threes tonight to equal a single-season record of 301 triples. That was set 20 years ago. Lobo 78, Utah State 63. Final postgame show continues after this break. Lobo basketball from Learfield. Mexico 78, Utah State 63. Final in Dreamstyle Arena, the pit. Valentine's night victory for the Lobos. All right, it's time for our State Farm Insurance Assist of the game. When teammates help each other out, great plays happen like this. Rebound grab by Ant. Feeds ahead. Tone wants another transition three. Yes, indeed!
Nice find by Jackson. A little heads up. Early outlet. Finds Mathis for three.
Lobos by 4, 31-27. That was one of 5 Antono Jackson assists in the game, tied for a team high with Troy Simons. That is your State Farm Insurance Assist of the game, presented by State Farm. Get an agent that gets you. Antono Jackson finding Anthony Mathis for one of Mathis's career best 7 threes in the game. 78-63, Lobos beat Utah State in Albuquerque. We're back after this timeout on the post-game show. Lobo basketball from Learfield. Back courtside inside Dreamstyle Arena, the pit, on the Lobo basketball postgame show. New Mexico 78, Utah State 63 is your final. Time to select our Subway sub of the game, brought to you by Subway Restaurants. It was not a slam dunk tonight.
No.
There were many choices, weren't there, Hunter?
Oh, yeah. I mean, you look at the play of McNeil, and then, Kuiper had a decent game, for the minutes played. So.
Troy Simons,
right.
He had contributions.
Yep.
But who's your sub?
Logwood.
Sam Logwood. Sam Logwood is the Subway Restaurants Subway of the game, brought to you by Subway Restaurants, keeping you going on and off the court. Stop in today. Subway Eat Fresh. Logwood in this one, 10 points, 4 of 8 floor, and 2 rim-rocking dunks as the Lobos wrapped it up late. 2 of 2 free throw line, 2 offensive rebounds, 2 defensive, 4 total. And just 1 turnover. He's had some issues with turnovers this year. That's a good number for him. 1 steal in 22 minutes. But here's the number that stands out the most, Hunter, because Coach Weir has been quick to point out on multiple occasions that Sam Logwood has been one of the Lobos who has struggled most in the plus-minus. That's how you do relative to the opponent, the score, right, when you're on the court. Logwood was a plus 18.
Yeah,
the Lobos
second
scored,
highest.
Yeah. The only other that was higher was Mathis, and Mathis led everybody with 25 points,
right,
led all the Lobos.
Yes.
So that's a big number for Logwood, and a big deal for Coach Weir.
And that was really the reason I thought Logwood was the sub of the game. I mean, McNeil could have been easy. I mean, he had 10 points with 3 assists. So, that was a toss-up there. But the plus-minus was really the deciding factor.
All right, time for us to pause. Lobo 78, Utah State 63. Still to hear from Coach Weir in our post-game show. Lobo basketball from Learfield. Back on the Lobo basketball post-game show, live inside Dreamstyle Arena. The legendary pit was rocking tonight in the second half as New Mexico went on a game-clinching spurt. In fact, the biggest lead of the game was 15 points, and that was the final margin. 78-63 Lobos was the final. Time to select our P&M Reliable Player of the Game. There was no doubt on this one. Hunter and I agree. The game changer for the Lobos was New Mexico shooting guard Anthony Mathis. Joe screens for Antono. Antono drives and kicks right corner to Kuiper. He'll drive the baseline, feed Tone. Left corner, step back three on the way for Tony. Yes! Anthony Mathis free ball ties the Lobos single-season team mark for threes. There he is, Anthony Mathis, your P&M Reliable Player of the Game. P&M delivers reliable energy to you 24/7. Committed to community partners, P&M, adding cleaner resources, including more solar and wind energy. Working to build a strong, sustainable energy future for New Mexico. Talk to us at pnm.com, where you can manage your account and learn how to save money on your electric bill. The P&M Reliable Player of the Game, Anthony Mathis, career high equaling 25 points, career high setting 7 threes. And the final of his 7 threes was the Lobos' 11th, which tied New Mexico basketball single season career all-time total for 301 threes in a season. A record set 20 years ago that will be broken when New Mexico next takes the court. Lobos 78, Utah State 63 final. We pause. Lobo basketball post-game show continues next. Lobo basketball from Learfield. Stay. 78-63 is the final. The Lobos have beaten Utah State in Dream Style Arena on a Valentine's night. Welcome back into the Lobo basketball post-game show. Lobos love pink sure worked out well for New Mexico. The little 2-game skid is history, and New Mexico gets a split of Utah State in the regular season. It's our privilege to welcome in Lobo head coach Paul Weir. Paul, congratulations. What a second-half performance. Both teams look sluggish in the first half, but you end up turning them over a remarkable 23 times. Is that the number that stands out the most for you?
Yeah, I think, just closing the game, I think it was 31-13, I think, if I'm correct. And, we just finished the game, and that's what we've talked about all year long. I know the Boise game was really frustrating for a lot of people. It was just really out of character for us, and I'm glad that we were able to kind of get back to our theme of just kind of wearing people down, and then the last 6-8 minutes of the game, just kind of going for the knockout punch, and I'm glad we were able to kind of do that.
Where did you get the energy? In the first half, it just seemed like both teams, it was kind of ugly basketball.
It was, yeah.
And then second half, it seemed like you came out with energy. I mean,
yeah.
How did you guys
I thought the beginning, I think when you're starting to play teams second time around, as you know them so well, they know you so well. It's a chess match. You're going back and forth. And I just thought it got bogged down as like just two teams just totally mentally engaged in the game, especially defensively, and just being ready for this and that and everything else. And that's unfortunately not what we want. We need it moving. We need it getting up and down. And I think they did a good job of really turning it into a half-court, grind out, your ball, my ball kind of game. And we needed it to get up and down. And unfortunately, until we could put the ball in the hoop, we couldn't get that. And our first 10 minutes of the game, we just weren't great offensively. Then the offense started kicking in the second 10 minutes, and the defense lost it. And then at halftime, we were just talking about, hey, we got to put both together. We started the game terrific defensively. We were engaged. We were locked in. We did everything we needed to do, but we weren't crisp offensively. Then it flipped. And second half, we just had to make sure we put both sides together.
Did you think it was the defense? That matchup zone seemed to give you some trouble in the first half.
For sure.
And then you made some adjustments.
I thought early in the game, and I when I say things about individual players, I'm not trying to, be negative about them or anything. But I just thought when Antono was in the game, there was just a lot of dribbling. There wasn't a lot of movement, and I told him that. And I thought when Chris McNeil came in, the ball started moving a little bit better. We got it around, and that's all we've talked about the last few days. This morning we watched film on the end of the Boise game and parts of the Air Force game, and just how bad our offense got. We stood. We watched guys dribble a lot. Like there wasn't a lot of movement.
Of the matchup zone?
No, I think we just get that way. Okay. I think we have some ball dominant guys like Antono Jackson and guys that are just trying to make plays, and everyone's standing around watching, and we just lose a lot of flow. And I think we just got to get to moving the ball. And I thought in the second half we were so much better. I thought the ball was moving side to side. We were screening, we were passing, we were cutting, we were playing. They were just great possessions, and I kept telling them that we had such good offensive possessions in the second half. And the first half we didn't have that. It looked very elementary, and it looked like it did at the end of Boise. We all stood around and watched one guy play, and thankfully in the second half we were able to open it up a little bit.
One of the things that Hunter and I talked about in the pregame, and that you and I actually discussed when I talked with you pregame, was how might the minutes look now with 10 scholarship players back and available for you for the first time since January 3rd, and everybody played more than 10 minutes, save for Jakai, who started and played 8, but most, just Jakai and Vlad were under 15. Everybody else, 15 or more. Is this kind of how you
That was the idea.
Envisioned
I just told them, I told them that, before the game, we talk about some offensive concepts and what we're trying to do, some defensive concepts, and then on the far right of the board, I usually give them some statistics, and I'll put all the numbers of the opposing team, and then I'll put something beside it, and then I'll ask them what they think it is. So we've done assist-to-turnover ratios, we've done three-point shots made, we've done fouls, we've done whatever, just so they can get a little bit of a feel of something that I think is important going into that game. And what I did after tonight was I put all the minutes of what these guys played against Boise, and it was 38, 37, 35, 32, 24, 7, 5, 5, 5, 5, 5, or whatever it may be. And I showed them, hey, this is their 10. Now let's put our 10 up. Can we beat number 1 or number 2? I don't know, but 3, let's say it's up in the air. But 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10, we have to win, and that's the reality. And we got to get those 3 through 10 in the game, and we have to be better 3 through 10. I can't guarantee we're going to have the top 1 or 2 guys on the court the rest of the year, but we can have the 10th best player on the court, the 9th best player on the court, the 8th best, and just work our way up. And the only way to bring them into the game is the way we play, and the only time it's going to show up is the last 8 minutes. That's just the reality of it. And Merrill, as awesome as he was tonight, when you play that amount of minutes, you're going to turn it over 6 times. And I think late, when he didn't quite have the legs, is the one time the shot doesn't go down and the one time he travels in the paint, because hopefully, that cumulative effect of just playing this way, ideally, this is how it's supposed to look.
Yeah, and that's one of the questions we had, is that you continue to play your style, meaning you're going to switch. You're not going to have a guy who's going to just be, guard Merrill straight up. And so I guess that's your strategy, is that in the last minutes of the game where he starts to break down physically, then mentally he breaks down because he turns the ball over.
That's the hope. You know what I mean? Now, you run into great players, obviously, and they're great. And I thought, we spent so much time the last few days. I mean, we've looked at, the team has seen every Kobe McEwen shot in the last 2 years. I mean, we broke it down to the finest of details of how we were going to guard him and everything else. And I'm not saying we forgot about Merrill by any means, but we went into it really keyed in on him. And that's what makes a good, that's as good an offensive backcourt as I think there might be in this league. Yes. I mean, when you have 2 guys that can go for 30 on the same backcourt, it makes you very potent. And I thought Merrill was terrific. I thought our ball pressure early on him was awful. We got switched off on him, and the bigs just kind of stayed there, and he just shot right in their face, and he was just very comfortable early on. And I thought in the second half we did a good job of just taking him out of his comfort zone, and that's all we try and do with our defense, just be the aggressor.
Many times over the season when we have selected our Subway sub of the game, it has been pretty obvious who to go to. Tonight, when I asked Hunter, there were easily 3 or 4 that we could have gone to with the various contributions that they made. 2 numbers stood out for us, and Chris McNeil and Sam Logwood and Dane Kuiper and Troy Simons all had great contributions in different ways. But Logwood's plus 18 and Simons plus 13. I in particular remember a sequence where Simons had 3 or 4 assists that set up Lobos for threes or dunks. Yep. And Logwood was huge in the second half, really throughout. Those plus minuses haven't always been that way for those guys.
No question. And I thought the same thing happened at Utah State. I thought our tempo, as much as it wore them down on the offensive end, I think it wore them down on the defensive end. And I thought their defense down the second half, they just didn't have early. I thought they were really queued up at Utah State, meaning, and I thought down the stretch, they just wore down a little bit, and we got some easy buckets and we got some plays. I think that's why they went zone a little bit, and we just kind of had them there. Troy was awesome. We unfortunately had to show the clip this morning of the Boise State turnover late where he kind of dribbled, and we talked about it. And there's just a lot of times where our guards, they're just very passive, and they're not triple threading and facing the rim and being attack oriented, and it's so easy to turn over the ball when you're not even looking at the rim. You're just looking to the sideline somewhere. And I thought Troy and I thought Dane, too, did a much better job than they've done in the past of just attacking the rim and drawing defense and kicking to the next guy. And to have 5 assists and no turnovers was awesome for Troy. And it was great progress for our offensive fundamentals. And that's really what we talk about every day, just being a fundamental basketball player.
That's a great point because, sometimes they tend to get back on their heels when the defense, and especially Mathis.
Yeah.
And
you start to think, I'm going to go pass to this guy. So you face the wing or you face the top, and you're just looking at your next pass, and it's just bad fundamentals, and you've got to square to the rim.
Who was good at it tonight was Chris McNeil. I mean, he actually put his head down and squared up and went to the rim.
I thought so.
Yeah.
And he left his feet, which pissed me off a couple of times, but late he stopped, he moved it, he kicks it, we play. Like, you're right. And I thought just overall our offense had good flow. And when it's like that, we're hard to guard. And unfortunately in the Boise game and even parts of the Air Force game and even parts of tonight early in the game, we just stand a lot. And there's not a lot of great movement and synergy and rhythm to what we're doing. And we just have to keep working at that. That's the one downside of playing the guys we play. I don't think it affects our defense. I don't think it affects our conditioning or our running, but it can affect our offensive rhythm when you're just moving so many guys in and out. And that's why we just have to spend a lot of time on it.
Speaking of offense, you guys don't score much from the free throw line. Does that bother you? I mean, is that something?
Yeah, I mean, I thought they did a pretty good job. We tried to get the ball inside and just talked about inside-out touches, inside-out touches. I thought when we went in, they were doubling and really getting it out a lot. And I think the way the foul count was, for whatever reason, like we just weren't getting a lot around the rim, I thought we were there on a few, but we just couldn't get a lot there. I'd love them. I want them. We want to get to the rim, draw contact, get to the free throw line. Fortunately, we were able to get, Kobe in foul trouble, which I think really helped us out. But our offense needs as much balance as possible. We need to score inside. We have to. We can't just be a perimeter-oriented
and free
team.
Throws.
Yes, exactly. Both.
Right.
You just mentioned Kobe McEwen, and you talked about how the focus was on him on defense. And I thought the one foul that he committed on defense over here that got him his third, he didn't like that call. But then we had just talked about it, and I wondered if you had talked with your team about it, maybe at halftime or in a timeout, that the help guy, if they would just get in front of Kobe, it looked like he was determined to try to get to the rim. You get a charge, and boom, you got the charge. That was the fourth one.
Yeah, no question. Yeah, no, when he had the ball, everyone was on cue. I think all night he didn't really get loose, and that was great attention to detail. We just didn't spend enough time on Merrill as well, and we didn't have that same sharpness guarding him and off the ball, and Merrill was terrific. And, that's something, if we play them a third time, we're going to have to spend a ton of time on Merrill now and break his game down to the finest of details. But I just didn't want Kobe to beat us again. There was just no way I was leaving this game with Kobe McEwen beating us again. I couldn't live with myself.
It seemed like Merrill had success against the bigs. Like whenever there was a pinch chuck or first stinger, that's when he was able to
and unfortunately we went over that, and they were really just supposed to pressure him so we could switch it out on the drive, and they were just gapping him, and he just stood there and shot. It was really frustrating, and we kept hitting him on it, and unfortunately we just couldn't go back to Vlad. We went small. We went back to Sam and McQuatch a couple of times because they were just picking on Vlad a little bit in that ball screen. We snuck in a couple possessions of zone here and there. Just tried to we tried as much as we could to mask what we do, and I think some of it worked. But Merrill was good, man. He was a special player tonight, and he's like McEwen, he's 6'4", 6'5", and when you're that size, it's hard to stop a shooter because they're bigger. A 6'1", 6'2" shooter, you can climb into them a little bit, but those 6'5" guys, you can get in them, and they're still going to get it off because they've got that length.
Fun to have all 10 puzzle pieces.
It was.
Tonight, wasn't it?
It was, and I'm really happy for them. We've had an amazing 3 days, really good practices, really great buy-in to body language and all the things we've talked about. And I really wanted them to win tonight. Like I told the staff that before the game. I just told my players that after the game. They've had such a good 3 days. I would have felt sick if they didn't win tonight because they would have gone home going, "Well, why? Well, and they needed that to vindicate. Hey, you know what? It's about us." And I'm happy for them that we were able to get it.
And that's what you talked about in pregame, is that mental outlook.
Yes.
Being able to have that.
No question. And I thought our body language was terrific tonight. Yes. I thought that was the best Sam's been all season, coming off the bench when he's subbed, all those things. Right. I just thought we were great. And what's great about it, it was all in times of adversity. We were losing, or it was a swing of 2-4 points for 30 minutes, and those are easy times to fragment. But we really just kept pounding the rock, man, and we just kind of stayed positive. and stayed grinding and pulled through.
I pointed over here because one of your point guards, Antonio Jackson, getting up some extra shots here with one of your student managers, Andrew, after the game. And Ant tweeted earlier today, we had 3 fabulous practices.
Yep.
Cannot wait to get on court tonight.
Yep.
And I think that you could really see that in the way that the team performed in the second half. I mean, you guys had to grind this one out. And then the pull away at the finish line, you clearly were the fresher team down the stretch.
No question. And this is new for me. I've never been on a team practicing this hard this late in the season. Usually at this time of year, you're giving them rest, you're keeping them fresh, you're all that. But because we've had so many guys in and out, and because we play the way that we do, we need to play. And we scrimmage all the time and play live all the time because these 10 guys need to play with each other and they need to get those reps up. There's a lot of new faces we've thrown in together, and unfortunately we don't have the luxury of just watching film and doing free throws and getting ready for the game. Like, we need to play, you know.
I was just asking Rob off the air, like, now you got a break until next Tuesday.
Yeah, maybe. And I just told him we're going right back to it tomorrow, and we're going right back to it Friday. I mean, it's where we're at. We can't afford to take our foot off the gas, man. We have too much ground to catch up on because we've had so much in and out with our roster with various things, and because we play the way we do, and we can't get out of shape between now and March. Like,
Coach, can't you just do it through visualization?
Yeah, I don't know.
Just sit there and go,
You know what? They appreciate it now. When I used to say 10 a.m. tomorrow, it got silent for a while. But today when we broke, one of the players said 10 a.m., and I said, yeah, we're going tomorrow.
Nice.
So
congratulations.
Yes, thanks, man. That was a big one for us. We need.
Paul Weir, Lobo head coach, postgame coach's comments. Lobo 78, Utah State 63 final. We pause. Back to wrap after this. Lobo basketball from Learfield. Back for a final time inside Dreamstyle Arena to the Pimps. It is quiet now, but it wasn't in that second half run where New Mexico put the pedal to the floor and floored Utah State. 78-63 final. Biggest margin of the night was the final score. An emphatic two-hand rim rocker from Sam Logwood was the exclamation point on a big Valentine's night victory for New Mexico over the Aggies. The Lobos improved to 13-14, 8-6 in the Mountain West. That 8-6 is big. They shove Utah State now into the rearview mirror. They're 7-7 in conference. One of the teams contesting the Lobos for that final spot inside the top 5. Those 2 teams came in tied for 6th in the conference coming into this one. So 78-63, the Lobos win. That's your final. Albuquerque Downs Racetrack and Casino is your home for winning entertainment, including simulcast racing. That's Albuquerque Downs Racetrack and Casino. The Lobos led by 25 points from Anthony Mathis, a career high, tying number. 7 threes was a new career high for Mathis. He had reached 6 previously in his career. 16 for McQuatch Malawach, 10 apiece for McNeil and Logwood, 7 for Kuiper, 4 for Furstinger, 2 for Simons, 3 for Jackson, and 1 for Simmons. How about they beat Utah State? Antonio Jackson just scores 3 points. That's a pretty impressive number right there. Mm-hmm. This big one into team totals. 23 turnovers for Utah State, just 9 for the Lobos. And remember, at one point, the Lobos had turned it over 4, Utah State 3. Yep. The defense really turned up the heat. Yep. Sam Merrill goes for 33. He made his first 6 threes, finished 7 for 8, 3, 11 for 16 floor. He was remarkable. 10 for McEwen. The foul trouble haunted him throughout the night. 9 for Brito, 4 apiece for Isby and Taylor, 2 for Ainge, and 1 for Dargentson. Rebounds a wash, 29-28 Utah State. Offensively, the Lobos kill them, 9-2 in offensive rebounds. Yep. And how about these numbers here? This has a lot to do with those turnovers, Hunter.
Yes.
36-14 advantage points in the paint for the Lobos. That number is usually reversed. And 24-9 advantage in the fast break and points off turnovers, 23-8. Bench 33-7. Coach Weir talked about winning from the 4 through 10 slots on your roster. They did it all tonight.
Yes, they did. And I tell you, one of the things we just haven't mentioned was the play of McQuatch.
Yes.
McQuatch really, I thought, running that baseline, getting open for dunks, really played well. Started, as a freshman, gets the start, but he finished strong.
He's not even a freshman anymore.
No.
You don't look at him on the court now and think, oh, there's a true freshman.
That's right.
He has become one of the key contributors on this team.
Oh, he is. He's huge, and he's so quick and sneaky on the baseline, and even down the lane, he can take the bigs off the dribble.
And he can shoot the 3.
Oh, he can.
Very versatile offensive player. Finished 7 for 12 floor and 16 points, second high figure for the Lobos. Casey Wolfmeyer, our producer and engineer at Learfield in Jeff City. On-site engineer Michael Carlisle. My broadcast partner Hunter Green. I'm Robert Portnoy. Hunter, enjoy the weekend. And we will see you, Laramie, a Tuesday game next week, Laramie, as the Lobos take on Wyoming, and a chance to beat Wyoming at the Arena Auditorium. If New Mexico could pull that off, it would be a big one. Wyoming is a team the Lobos beat back in January 75-66 here, and they'd have a sweep of one of those teams right there in the meat of this conference that they're battling for one of those 5 slots that get you the bye. That's going to be Feb 20 is the date. Tuesday, a 7 o'clock tip, 6:30 airtime, Bank of the West pregame show from Laramie, the Lobos and the Wyoming Cowboys. Fun stuff tonight, partner. Fun stuff. Happy Valentine's Day, everybody. That's going to do it for us for tonight. Your final score for the final time. The Lobos defeat Utah State. New Mexico 78, Utah State 63. So long, everybody. You've been listening to Lobo Basketball from Learfield.